Good morning or afternoon, I guess it is, and welcome to another episode of our weekly show, Step Up to Rise Up. Welcome to yet another day. I'm excited today to be able to come and talk to you this morning, or this afternoon, I should say, about something very near and dear to my heart, and that is the miracle morning. We have been talking this whole month about intentions and goals and really setting ourselves up this year for our best life. And most of you know that I am your host, Linda Nelson, and I am passionate about having you achieve your best life ever. And in case we're meeting for the first time, I want to introduce myself. I am a mindset confidence coach and creator of the Believe in You Academy. And I guide heart-centered, purpose-driven female solopreneurs like you to grow their business by focusing on their most important asset, and that is you. I provide strategies to help you turn your passion into purpose and profit so that you can live the life of intention and impact you deserve. In my work, so often I see people not having a strategy and not understanding their purpose, and how working in that area of purpose can just be so rich to providing you such a wonderful life. And of course, I'm passionate about helping you discover your purpose so that you live that life too. So as I said, in summary, we've been talking a lot the month of January. It's always a time that people look to new habits and new goals and new intentions for the year. And we have been through a couple of challenging years, and it feels like it's time for us to have something better, to be a better version of ourselves, if you will. And so that is what we're focusing on this year. And today I get to talk about one of my most life-changing habits that I've done, and that is called, let's see, I have someone joining me live, but I don't know who it is. Say hi if you're live with me. And if I'm catching, or you're catching me later on replay, just hit hashtag replay in the comments. And if you have any comments or questions, any thoughts, I generally circle back and answer or respond to those. So, as I said, I'm very excited to talk to you about something that has been absolutely life-changing for me. Of all the things I've done in my life, this has been the most rewarding in so many ways. And I've grown in so many ways just with this simple, I committed to a very simple thing, but challenging to do. Some of you saw in my post perhaps that I completed a 30-day challenge that I started the first day of January. So I completed 30 days of it yesterday, and that's 30 days in a row of consistently doing this miracle morning that we're going to talk about today. I'm going to start with prefacing and maybe just giving you a little background to Miracle Morning and kind of what it is. I read the book called The Miracle Morning that was written by Hal Elrod, and he's a very interesting character. He was in a very bad car accident in his youth, and he had a fair amount of success before this car accident, but it really left him in a bad way. He also lost his fiancée in that, so it was a life-changing period of time for him. And a lot of people told him that he would not get back to quote-unquote a normal life, that it would be a very long challenge, a very long struggle for him. And he just felt in the deepest parts of him that he was called to more, that there was more that he was called to do on this earth. He had a very strong faith and decided that he was going to study success. And he had some downtime, so that's what he chose to do. And in his study of successful people and what they did that was different from everyone else, there were 6 themes that emerged of things that they did, with an overarching thing that they did call was getting up early in the morning to get a jump start on the day. And they did a variety of these 6 themes that he uncovered. Some of them spent some time in silence and meditation. Some of them were good at visualization. Some were committed to reading and to exercise as part of how they start their day. But he got to thinking, he put these, as I said, themes in an acronym called SAVERS, SAVERS. And I have them written for you in the description, but I'll quickly go through them. But his thought process was, what if I did all 6 every day and I committed to that for a month? Where would that take me? And so he discovered a life-changing practice for himself that he now puts out into the world and has a community of thousands of people all over the world who are taking part in this Miracle Morning Challenge. And so I came upon that and was fascinated by it, but I'm not especially known for getting up early. I tend to like the quiet of the house at night, and so mornings were, at least initially, a struggle for me. But I learned in the process all the benefits there were to getting a positive jumpstart on my day, and I became a believer. So let me tell you a little bit about the savers and what they are. The first S stands for silence. And that is just taking some quiet, reflective moments in silence. Just not doing or thinking or anything. Then A stands for affirmations. And I must admit, I wasn't a big believer in affirmations. But I started my day with what I call I am statements that were very powerful. Over the course of time, I believe I have shared those with you. But I read those I am statements, very empowering ways to start my day every day. And boy, I had some things on the list that weren't true yet, but my mind started to believe they were. And I started operating as if they were true about me. For example, I say, I am lean and fit in my body because I spend time every day in self-care, in making sure I make good choices for my body. So that wasn't so true at the time that I started that practice, but every day I read it, I believed it more, and I started taking actions based on that belief. Your mind believes what you tell it, so using affirmations really capitalizes on that, and it's a practice now that I do every day. The V stands for visualization. And basically what that is you take a look at your day, and we've talked about this as well. You set an intention for your day, and then you actually visualize yourself completing those tasks. You visualize yourself being successful at the things you set out to do. And that visualization kind of precedes your doing it. You've seen yourself or visualized yourself in your mind taking all those tasks on your list and doing them. And pretty soon it's like it's a done deal because your mind believes you're successful with that. So that's the V. Then we have E, which is exercise. And again, it doesn't have to be running a marathon. It can be housework, yoga, going around the block for a quick walk. Anything that gets your body moving too. Sometimes, in the winter when it's a little cold out, which it is now, I just run up and down the steps for a couple of times to just get my body moving. Or I might combine some quiet meditative time with yoga, for example. But I'm still stretching my body, moving my body, doing what my body likes, which is movement. So that's the E. R stands for reading. And of course, those of you who are into personal development like I am know that keeping your mind sharp and alert and learning new things is a great way to keep going. And when you set aside time every day for it, it's amazing what you're able to accomplish. So if you have had some books on your shelf that you wanted to read, or that includes podcasts, anything that is good for your mind, Bible studies, those kinds of things, setting aside time every day. You all know how I feel about baby steps, but that gets you big results at the end of that time. So it really is an accumulation of great habits that are really life-changing when you stick with them over time. So that's the exercise. Where am I at? SAVER, reading. And the last S is scribing. And you can't have been in the group too long to know that scribing is really one of the most, I think, one of the most life-changing habits I've identified. And scribing is just another word for journaling. And journaling is just so powerful on so many things. When we write down intentions, when we write down our thoughts, we have a record that we can go back on. And sometimes it's helpful to go back and look at maybe issues that we were working on that worked themselves out, or prayers we were praying about another person or ourselves and how they worked out over time, or thoughts that God gave you, ideas He gives you, revelations He gives you over time. And they don't always make sense at the time you write them, but you have an opportunity to go back and make sense of some things that come to you randomly, which is often the case when we spend time in journaling and silence. And so you can see a lot of these activities kind of go together. And for me, it was perfect because I had fallen off my devotion time. I enjoyed it, but like anything else, those old familiar habits or letting life get in the way, not setting aside the time happened. And so I wasn't consistently doing it, even though I really enjoyed the time that I spent. So I decided, okay, I'm going to get that habit down first, where I started doing my devotions again consistently, and then gradually did that technique that we've talked about called habit stacking, where I wanted to start the journaling practice, and so I just stacked that onto my devotion time. And then it was pretty easy for me to incorporate some of the other savor activities as well. So about 3 years ago, it's almost 3 years ago, I believe, that I started the Miracle Morning. And I did it initially, and I think that's often the case. We're successful when we set intentions for another person versus ourselves. And I made a deal with my husband that I would get up early if he would grant me some time to do my Miracle Morning activities, and that I would go for a walk with him after that was done. And of course, that was part of Savers in the exercise portion. So he loves mornings, and that was a real gift to him that I spent some time outside. It was in the summer, so it was nicer to be outside, and we sat on our deck. I had my coffee, I had all my materials, and I ran through my Miracle Morning activities. And so doing my devotion time was already a form of silence. I did some more meditative things out by my garden, and then I started writing. I started just journaling. First it was phrases, and then it was sentences, and it kind of grew from there. And then when I was through with some of my reading and Bible study things, Jess and I went for a walk, and sometimes I listened to a podcast. Sometimes he and I just talked. Sometimes I went by myself because he had other things that were going on. But I learned to love mornings, and I actually looked forward to mornings. And now, in the process of developing that habit and doing that habit over time, I no longer tell myself I'm not a morning person. I tell myself how much I enjoy my morning activity, my morning routine. And then once that became a habit, I stacked some additional things into my Miracle Morning. Now I complete those savers every day, and then I spend the first 20 minutes to half hour, sometimes 45 minutes, doing some things, some activities that get my business going. on a good note. And so I'm already mentally and physically and spiritually in a good place. And I visualized all the things that I want to accomplish in that first few minutes of the day. And so it has allowed me to be very productive, and I am accomplishing so much more in less time. It's just been amazing. And I have grown so much in this process. So I just want that for you too. And I hope that you'll take that up. You don't have to start with all of them if that seems too daunting. Just add as you go, but do it every single day. Figure out which ones work for you. Many of you took me along on your walks when we had the Count Your Blessings, Count Your Steps challenge back in November. And it caused me to get out of my comfort zone and do a podcast. Never had done that before, but I did it for you and learned a lot again in that process. And again, I'm going to be taking up some more of those podcast activities now in the weeks ahead. But start out slow, get it into be a habit, and reward yourself along the way. Remember how important it is to celebrate. That's why we do that every Friday, that we celebrate our wins, because the small wins add up to some big, big steps. So again, if you have any comments, any insights that you want to share, I would love for you to share them. Just drop them in the comments. If you need some help in getting started, I'd love to have you start that for the month of February. We are going to kind of wrap up this topic now on habits and routines, although we're going to carry that forward into the month of February. But I want to impress on you that February is kind of the heart month, the month we think of love. And I want you to love yourself. I want to focus on you. And there's nothing better than you that you could do for yourself than to start your morning off on a positive note. Consider that some me time, some time that you need just for you. And I promise you, you will benefit hugely if you stay with it for the month of February. So that will be our focus. We're going to look at adding journaling or some silence, some exercise, whatever it is you want to work on. And then we're going to hold each other accountable to that in the month of February. So thanks for joining me for this this discussion on the miracle morning. I hope that you take that up. I would love to support you and encourage you to keep going with this amazing life-changing routine. And I hope that you will find that you change you in the process. And of course, that's the point of the whole thing. So have a wonderful day. I look forward to holding you accountable and keeping you encouraged on a miracle morning routine. And we're going to build that together and do that consistently during the month of February. So bye for now, my friends. Thanks for joining me. If you're catching me on replay, be sure to hit #replay. I'll circle back with any of your thoughts or questions. And then let's share as we go forward what things are working for us as we move forward with building our miracle mornings. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Thanks for joining me.